Farley, and I'm an area manager with Remedy Intelligence Staffing. Our staffing company is franchised here in the Rochester area. We do have offices, two in Rochester, one on the west side, one in Henrietta. We have offices in Palmyra, offices in Geneva, and we recently opened an office in Batavia, which I manage, as well as our office in Livingston County, which is in Avon. So we do cover all areas for recruitment. We do direct hire, we do temp to hire, and we do regular temporary type staffing if anyone's looking for that. But today I want to talk not so much about Remedy, I just wanted to let you know where I was from, but want to talk about how recruitment continues to evolve. As we keep seeing technology grow, recruitment has definitely changed, okay? We have Twitter, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn. How can you utilize all these things? Are you utilizing them? What content should you have on them? Those are all important things that we'll discuss. So with the fact that job searching for job seeking is changed, and it's changed for recruiters and looking for job seekers, that means that job seekers have to change the way that they're looking for work, okay? So have you changed your job process? Are you doing the same things and getting no results? Might be that you need to change some things to try to get results from some of the companies that you're targeting. So the first would be open a LinkedIn profile. If you haven't done so, you'd want to do that now. Make sure there's relevant details, okay, about yourself. Make sure, because people are looking at this as your resume. If they look at your LinkedIn profile, they want to see everywhere you've worked. It needs to be accurate. I see often that people are on there and maybe they're no longer working but haven't put an end date down for their job. I've seen people that don't really detail their positions. They might have the titles of what they did in previous employment but don't list what their duties were. If you can at all get references from people that you worked with, for, or the people that worked under you if you were in a management capacity, references are always good to get, because that shows people telling about you, what you've done, what kind of a worker you were. So those references are already there, and hopefully those will be people that you give an employer that you're seeking to work for as somebody to discuss when they want to do a reference as well. So again, that kind of links into the second one, that the CV is passé, social media profile is your live resume, okay? And that's not just your profile on LinkedIn. That would be your profile also on Facebook. Don't think that recruiters don't go look on any type of social media to learn things about you. It's very important that if you have a public profile on Facebook, that you're watching the content of what you're putting on, or that people that are exchanging things with you watch what gets put on there. Inappropriate things aren't going to do too good for a recruiter looking at it. And, you know, it's public, so they have the right to do that, and many do. Okay, as well as if you are employed, your employer has the right to do that as well. And there seems to be more and more coming up about what, you know, you can put on Facebook, what employers can do about things you put on Facebook, things of that nature. You don't want to, you know, ever diss an old employer. You don't want to put things that, you know, is inappropriate language, inappropriate content, especially when looking for a job, because people can look at those things or make a crazy YouTube video. You want to reach out to the source of the job, meaning that with the age of the internet, with the age of social media, you can look at the company, research the company, find out things about the company, which is all very good, you've been told when you go on an interview, to know those details. But to me, it's good information to know before you even fill out an application. I mean, if you see something in the vision or the philosophy of that company that you really don't feel good about, then you might want to change your mind about applying there. So it's good to research. A lot of times a company website will tell you who works there. Often what I do, because I do some sales and marketing as well, is I'll go on to LinkedIn, get in the company profile, and see who's on LinkedIn and what capacity they work there, and see if there's anyone I know to kind of get my foot in the door. So it works twofold, okay? Switch the table. Basically what that means is you want to look at yourself. So put yourself in the recruiter's shoes, okay, and you're looking for you. And you're going to go now on your LinkedIn profile and read it as if you were reading it as a recruiter. Go on your Facebook and double check that and make sure that everything there is appropriate for someone to see. So just doing some checks and balances is a good idea. And then again, search yourself in Google. Type in your name. See what comes up. Because these are all the things that the recruiter's doing. Because really everything is social media now. Everything is over the internet. Most applications are online. You really don't get to see that face-to-face or make an impression. You have to sell yourself before you ever talk to somebody. So where's the disconnect? I thought this was cute. Job seekers are from Mars and recruiters are from Venus. When it comes to tech, there's a huge disconnect. And it's how everyone uses technology differently. So recruiters lack insight into what job seekers are looking for when they are searching for a new role. So a lot of times, recruiters might not understand what you're looking for. They're looking basically, if you send them a resume, at what you've done. So remember on your resume and also on your LinkedIn profile, your summary has to be, this is what I can bring and what I'm looking for, what I can bring to the organization. Transferable skills, you want to make sure those are on your resume, and recruiters are looking at that. Because as you'll see later in the presentation, there are some roles, even though people are looking for jobs, there are some roles that are very hard to fill currently. So how can you, if you were doing something else, transfer your skills to be somebody who would be picked for one of those hard to fill positions? The easier the company makes it to connect with real people, either through social media or a more traditional career site, the more likely candidates are to form a relationship and look favorably on the company. When you go on to fill out an application online, some of them are very, very simple. Some of them, you need a master's degree to figure them out. Am I right? Because I was there myself filling out applications. It's very difficult. You get very frustrated if you keep getting booted out. You get very frustrated if you can't even find the job that you saw somewhere and it tells you to go to the website and you don't see the job listed on the website, but you saw it somewhere else, right? Or somebody tells you about a job at the company and then you can't find it because companies aren't keeping their recruitment on their website up to date. I just had that happen yesterday. I was looking at a company to see if they were hiring. I went to their website and it didn't even show a location listed for Rochester when they have their hiring left and right at this facility in Rush. So obviously, who's going to be able to apply online? Nobody. And then if you go in the door and there's no one there to say we don't accept applications, you got to go online. How do you pick, the job that you're looking for? So really, the company really needs to make it easy or people get frustrated, therefore they're not going to apply at that particular organization. So recruiters, on the other hand, use technology to connect with people who want a job right now and for people that are available right now. So if I'm looking to fill a position, I have a lot of competition, okay? Whether I work for a company that does the same thing that I do, or whether I'm working for a staffing agency and, people, they have 3 agencies working on it, okay? Fast. Recruiters make their money by placing people, okay? So I want to get that filled as quickly as possible. We're finding that a lot of job seekers who are kind of testing the waters are not so eager to leave right away. They're kind of just testing the waters, seeing what's out there. Is there a better opportunity? Let me compare wages. Let me compare benefits. I might not be in a hurry to leave my current position. Sometimes recruiters get frustrated by that, so it's up to the recruiter to understand that. Not everybody working wants to leave their position right away. And the worst thing you could do as a recruiter is to force somebody into that because it's never going to work out in the long run. So recruiters need to be aware of that. So again, job seekers want to talk to job holders and future hiring managers, where recruiters really only want to talk to applicants who, I want to make a move now. And the other big difference is the where and when they want to connect. I might want to call you because I work 8 to 5. I might want to call you on your lunch break. That might not be convenient for you. So as a recruiter, I need to realize that if I want to talk to people who are currently working and woo them away from the current job that they have, I need to be available other times during the day. It might be in the evening. It might be on the weekend. Personally, I have a position I'm trying to fill internally right now in my own company, and many of the people that are applying are currently working. So I need to be available to talk to them and give them choices of when's going to be convenient to do a phone screen, because they're already working. They can't talk, sitting at their desk, with their boss just down the hall. So recruiters need to be cognizant of that. And really, recruiters need to take a lesson from the job seeker. Make connecting with your employees and hiring managers easier. Again, make the whole interviewing process easy. Now that a lot of people are working, there are not as many unemployed people that are looking for work. As we target people who are working, they may be unhappy. They may have taken a position in the recession just to have money, and now they really want to go back to what they were doing. They want to look at a different level of position. We need to make it easy, the interview process. If I'm working, I can't go on 5 interviews till somebody decides that I'm the right candidate. It should be 1 or 2. A phone screen, an interview, meet with the key people on that day, and make a decision. Coming back 6 times isn't going to make you a better candidate. Make researching opportunities easy on your career website, like we talked before. Make sure the career website is up to date. Make sure the information is there, who to contact, what the salary is, what the position entails, what education is needed. All those things need to be updated and current. Send jobs and work content to job seekers and don't expect them to go looking for it. Okay? I'm a member of LinkedIn as a recruiter. What I can do is, if people are open on LinkedIn to be looking for new positions or new opportunities, I can go in even if I'm not connected with them and send them a brief message saying, hey, I have this position. Would you be interested in speaking with me? Okay? So if you want to have people, if you are employed and you're looking to make a move, you're going to want to put down that you're looking for new opportunities on your LinkedIn profile so that people will send you things as they're searching. Make everything, even email, into an instant message. Again, it's messaging, do it through social media. It gets there right away. Where email, you might end up in spam. But if I send somebody something through LinkedIn, they're going to get it immediately, and they're going to get it whether they know me or not. Okay? Everything ought to be mobile. A lot of people are doing more and more through their smartphones. They're using those as mini computers. Even at Remedy, we have a app where people can go on and apply for work. They can't complete a full application, but they can at least give us their contact information and let us know what they're looking for, and then it's up to us to contact them. But it's very easy because some people don't have computers. We deal with a lot of entry-level industrial type work. A lot of people don't have computers, especially if you're not working. Who's paying for the internet at home? So doing it on their mobile phone is a lot easier, and then they could come into the office to complete the full process. And be available, again, outside of office hours. People aren't always available 8 to 5. So as recruiters, we need to be available, and as job seekers too. Because if you're working and a recruiter needs to call you after 5, you need to be available, have some quiet time to be able to call or talk to somebody. And plan on that. If you make an appointment with someone and say, yeah, call me, I'll be available at 5:30. Don't be, driving in the car trying to avoid the police because you're not on hands-free, and, don't be picking the kids up from daycare. All those things need to get done. But if you're not going to be finished with them till 6:30, then that's the time the recruiter should call you, because you need to be focused. So believe it or not, there is a skills shortage. More than 4.1 million jobs go unfilled in the U.S. every month. Hard to believe when you're unemployed, right? So actually, it's a good time for people like myself that work at a staffing organization, because we could create flexible work arrangements. We could tap into niche labor markets or segments. We do a great job of educating both the clients and the candidates, so we have a dual role. And we try to stretch the client's orders and the candidate's expectations, meaning we try to match a little bit differently. It's not always going to be the round hole and the round hole, the square peg, that scenario. A lot of times we have to look at a lot of different things, talk with somebody in depth, talk with the client to see what they're really looking for, and sometimes we make a match not based on skill to skill. It's what in the long run the client's trying to accomplish and what in the long run the candidate's trying to accomplish. And again, creating partnerships. And I truly believe that you create a partnership with the client, but a very important partnership is with the candidate, or as we call them when they work for us, associate. Very important that the person looking for a job you create that partnership with, you want them to be loyal to you. So staffing firms can no longer try to solve their recruiting problems simply by hiring more recruiters. It's not the fact that I need to hire 10 more people to get the job filled, because the 10 more people aren't going to find the people either, because they're hard to find. So, and spending money on job boards or print advertising, that doesn't always work. We have to be one step ahead. We have to do things a little bit differently. My office has their own Facebook page. Even though Remedy as a whole nationwide has one, we have a local one so that we can give local details of what's going on in our marketplace. I'm in Livingston County. Things are a little bit different than Monroe County. So people in that county that are looking, or people that want to move to there, they see different things on our Facebook page that they wouldn't see looking at our national Facebook page. LinkedIn. We try to link in with as many people as we know in our area, whether they're job seekers, whether they're clients that we're working with, and we're continually posting things that we have, or statistics that we know, or things we've learned about organizations. Also on LinkedIn, we follow a lot of the companies we do business with, so that if somebody's looking at my profile, they could look at that company as well and know that I service them. Maybe it's a target company that you have. So these are the most difficult jobs to fill today: skilled trades, restaurant and hotel staff, sales reps, believe it or not, teachers, may not be in New York, but teachers is on the list, drivers, accounting and finance, laborers, IT staff, engineering, and nurses. Now, I could tell you locally where I work and what I know of, I could tell you the top ones that are the hardest. Skilled trades, extremely, extremely hard. What happened is, for the longest time, people didn't go into the manufacturing sector. Nobody was trained. You have a workforce that's retiring, and you have nobody with the skills to pick up that pace. And manufacturing is growing in our marketplace. So when I say skilled trades, I'm talking about CNC operators, tool and die people, CNC programmers, anything that is of that level, extremely hard to fill. And most of the time we are taking people that are currently working and placing them in another location. So all those things we talked about definitely apply, of how to get that person to work with us. Restaurant and hotel staff. I also manage an office in Batavia, and they have a lot of hotels. Not so much in Livingston County, we don't, but in Batavia there's a ton, by the thruway. Constantly they're advertising, constantly. They cannot keep staff. Don't know why that is. It's all of them, so I don't think it can be the environment. Very difficult to keep people. I think a lot of it is because most of the positions are part-time, so there's not benefits included. And the hours, because it's a 24/7 operation, hard to find people who can do that. Drivers. My husband is an operations manager for a company, and they have their own drivers. He can't find drivers to save his life. And that means commercial drivers. As far as Class B, Class A license, very difficult to find and retain. And laborers. Just light industrial people in general. We have the hardest time finding them. On any given day, I could have 20 positions, entry-level positions open in my office, and I'm in Avon, Livingston County. So imagine our offices in Henrietta and our offices on Lyle Avenue, how many positions they probably have to fill, because Monroe County is so much bigger. But there is quite a bit of industry in Livingston County, and we deal with all the major players, so we have a hard time with that. And I used to be in medical staffing, so I know nurses are very difficult to come by as well. So sourcing. Companies now find their best talent using social professional networks, which have risen over 4 years to become a top source of quality hires. Many people are looking on LinkedIn for people, or any type of social media that you're connected with. Companies also have an opportunity to close the gap in passive candidate recruiting. While 3/4 of professionals consider themselves passive, only 61% of companies recruit passive candidates. So as a recruiter, it's honing our skills to know how to get a passive person looking to the point of jumping ship. Because you might be passive in the beginning, but a good recruiter can sell you on all the reasons of why you should change your job. So recruiters need to get better of that. So I guess as job seekers, you need to beware, right? And the mobile revolution is in full swing in the talent industry, with both candidates and companies increasing their mobile recruiting behaviors. Mobile recruiting will continue to be a big theme in 2015. Look for more and more companies to have apps so that you can be updated, like job alerts. I know when I was looking for work, there were several target companies I had, so I put in a job alert on the computer, and it would go to my email when there was a job that I wanted. But now companies are going to be going to apps on smartphones, and you'll be getting an alert as a text right on your phone so that you know when things are available. So candidate mobile job seeking behaviors rise globally, and candidate mobile job seeking behavior is on the rise. And again, it will likely continue in 2015. Global companies are going to invest in mobile, and companies are up to the challenge because investing in mobile strategies and optimizing their job postings and career sites for mobile. So again, it's a way to reach more people. It's cost effective. It's a quick way to reach people. And talent brand, new term referring to the company where you want to work. Social networks are becoming the preferred channels for promoting it. So again, companies are going to promote themselves on social media. Good place to look is LinkedIn. Online professional networks and general social media are the fastest growing channels for promoting talent brand. So again, networking in groups, people that you may know that are working somewhere, how do they speak of the company? About the company, that's their talent brand is referred to as, how the company is projecting themselves out in the workforce. Small businesses more likely to use online and offline word of mouth to promote talent brand. So again, they're going to put their philosophies online, but they're also going to ingrain those into people that work there. The vision, the mission of the company. They're going to want their workers to tell people about the company that way. And while small and large companies use similar channels to promote their talent brand, more small businesses rely on word of mouth and social media because they're not always in the news. People may not know. There's a lot of small and medium-sized companies in Rochester. I learn new ones every day. So what does the future of recruiting look like? Well, if we were to look into our crystal balls, talent acquisition or recruiters predict the future of recruiting. Social professional networks and better matching of candidates with jobs are set to reshape recruiting. Social and professional networks are here to stay, so continue those things if you're not doing that. Start doing it. And global recruiting leaders believe social and professional networks, employer brand, and passive candidate recruiting are the most essential and long-lasting trends in recruiting. So again, that talent brand is the employer brand. Passive candidate recruiting, again, somebody who testing the waters, just kind of looking. How does the recruiter get them to actually jump to a new position? There's going to be a lot of people who are employed now that may just be, let me see what else is out there. We all think that, right? And that's basically it. So are there any questions on any of what you need to be doing as far as social media and what things? I mean, not so much has changed that, it's drastic, but just what are the tools that are really being used and how are they being used and and what is going to change as far as like the mobile apps. I think that's the biggest thing is more companies are doing mobile which they never were before. Yes.
So most companies not even looks like go to like New York State employment services or whatever it's called now, or is that in addition to some of these other things that you mentioned?
I'm sorry.
Okay, are most companies, would they not even use like New York State employment often?
No, they'll use those avenues as well. I mean, we recruit through the Department of Labor all the time. And there's Rochester Works that people recruit through as well. I mean, they're going to use traditional, but really they're going to be looking social media and some of these professional organizations to try to get people from. I think, now, I mean, I know there's still people that are unemployed. Believe me, I understand that. But right now, for some of the positions that are hard to fill, recruiters are looking, it's a little bit different for them in 2015. The economy has definitely recovered. There's more and more jobs out there. As a staffing firm, we're the busiest that we've been in years with company growth. So we're looking at taking people away from the jobs that they're in. So this is more, that's how recruiting definitely is evolving, is that we're looking at trying to get people to go from one company to another. Or as I said earlier, when the recession hit and people were hard-pressed for a position and they took something that really wasn't what they wanted, so now how do I lure that person back into something else? But we still use all those other avenues. They're still very important. I alluded to earlier creating partnerships. Those are great partnerships to have for the job seeker and the recruiter. Large companies are.
And even something that looks promising. One day you may get a phone call, don't come to work tomorrow. And you can't see it coming.
And that's, I mean, the biggest thing, we all take that chance no matter where we work. I mean, you could stay where you are and get that phone call, and then you're in a boat where you don't have a position. But I think the biggest thing is doing as much research as you can on the company, trying to get to know somebody who works in the organization so that you can ask those hard questions like, what does it look like? What's the forecast? I mean, and asking those questions in an interview. I mean, you need to know how financially stable is the company. What kind of growth are you looking for in 2015? Remember, when you interview, it's for you to interview the organization as well. So I tell everyone that goes on an interview for me, if they're going to a company, make sure you're interviewing that company. And the best way to do that is to have some information about them and, ask, what is the goal for this year, for 2015? Right now is the perfect time to ask that because it's the beginning of the year. For some, it might be midway if it's a fiscal year, but still, what are you looking at for growth this year? Are you looking to increase headcount? But it always is risky, that's for sure. Yes.
Some people are, job jumpers. There may be a particular age group that does that a lot. But age keeps coming up as a fact. I don't know if it's a factor or an issue. How do I convince an interviewer I'm reliable, I'm stable, I'm not going to come in with a hangover on Monday morning, I'm not going to leave at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, and I'm not going to leave in 2 years because I'm not getting $60K this year. So you can rely on me. How do I tell them that?
I have to
age, but I don't want them to prejudice against me.
Right.
But yet I'm throwing it in their face.
But it's so funny because, I hear that a lot from job seekers is the whole age factor. But when I talk to clients, they're telling me they'd rather have a more mature workforce because they see those same things. We talk all the time, and no offense to anyone who's young in here, but the younger generation, we have a lot more difficulty with the work ethic and getting them to go to work every day. It seems as though, like my age group, that's, we had that work ethic. My sons are in the, early 30s. They have the work ethic. My son was 24. I mean, if he doesn't go to work, oh well. I mean, it just seems like we see more and more of that. So when I'm out talking to clients, because I have a unique perspective because I talk to both companies and I work with people who are looking for work, that they're looking for people who are more mature and are going to stay in that role.
Well, to be fair to younger folk, it takes time.
It does.
I mean, it takes 5, 10 years to become a tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're there, you're not interested in, it's just
Mm-hmm.
chewing someone's ankles.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give credit where credit is due. It does take time to develop.
But unfortunately, we see them. You want to be careful how many bridges that you burn, because unfortunately, what we try to instill in the younger generation is that you don't want to burn a bridge. And companies that you work for at this young age that you don't do the right things, like go to work or don't go to work. That's about the biggest. Someday that might come back to haunt you, so you want to make sure that you're doing those right things. And you had talked before about job hoppers and on the resume and whatnot. I mean, I guess I look at it as what type of skill did this person have? Do they like we've seen a lot of people in this area in Rochester who've had a lot of IT background that you see that they've been laid off, and we hear that, the Xeroxes, the Kodaks. I mean, I guess it depends where the person came from. Sometimes, you come from a Kodak, which was an extremely large organization. You go to a small organization, it just doesn't work for you. So I kind of look at everything of why a person may be moving positions. It doesn't always mean that that person's a job hopper. You can kind of tell. I mean, if you have on your resume that, I was a cashier here, I was a cashier here, or I was assembler here, I was assembler here, and the jobs aren't much different, and the person's a year, well, what was going on? Why did this person keep leaving? Because they weren't leaving for advancement. They weren't leaving because they were laid off. I didn't like the job. I didn't like the environment, dissatisfied with the hours. So to me, there's something more there that needs to be looked in as a recruiter of how to make that person successful in the next job we place them in.
It's also seasonal work. Sometimes it's contractual and the job is finished and now you have to move on.
So it's always good to put that on a resume, because especially like for an IT person, a lot of it's contractual. So it's very good for them to put that on. Yes? Exactly. Good point. Good question.
Because I just got, my position just got terminated, so I pretty much got laid off.
Okay.
And at 27, I'm like, how do I convince somebody that I don't just want a job for a year? It's like, no.
How long did you work at the job before you were laid off?
6 years?
That's going to tell it right there.
Okay.
That's going to tell it right there. Because you've worked there through your entire 20s pretty much.
Yeah.
You have longevity. You weren't a job hopper. You're going to get good references because you were laid off. So that's going to tell it right there.
Okay.
Absolutely. But if you had, if from the time you were 21 to the time you were 27 and you had 10 jobs, it might be a little bit harder to prove yourself. But your job history right there is going to prove it. And I would say to make yourself even more marketable, make sure you have that LinkedIn profile outlining everything you did, a nice summary of what you're looking for and who you are. And if you can, anybody from where you work that you can get to be a reference for you, get that on there, because they could put something on about, she grew with the company, she's mature, that type of thing. Yes.
He was kind of, I don't know your name, but he was just kind of touching on one thing when he mentioned contract work, and I see that in this title for this, it said what's trending in contract work. So can you touch on?
Well, it's more staffing type firms, like what's as far as contract, meaning like staffing firms or recruiter, like contract recruiters. I mean, these are the things that we're doing. These are the things that, companies are doing, because it is difficult to find people. So we pretty much, as a contract agency, we do the same things that companies do most often. We might be doing them before a company does them. That's the only thing. Like I said, with us, we had the mobile app last year. That was beginning of last year. Now companies are saying, hey, that's a good idea. Most of the time your agencies are going to be a little bit further ahead, only because we're looking for workers for so many organizations. But as far as contract work, it's still there. I'm seeing, though, if you do want to know a little more, I'm seeing more direct hire where companies are using agencies for that and paying the fee. It just saves time and money for them in the long run. Plus, there's a guarantee. If they hire the person on their own, there's no guarantee. If they hire you on directly through me, but you're a direct employee of the company, I offer them a guarantee. If in the first 30 days you don't work out, they don't have to worry about it. You know, they're going to get their money back. So that's why I have to do my due diligence much more, because I don't want to give that money back, right? And, you know, temp to hire is still there. I think a lot of companies are still doing, even in the higher skilled positions, still doing temp to hire. As far as entry level, that's going to be your long-term temporary work is the entry level. It's just to kind of really gauge, is that production work going to stay? I think companies are still testing the waters. Things look good. Work is growing. But they're not sure it's going to stay for the long term. And I don't think anybody wants to get in a situation that they were in a few years ago where we hire 20 workers and we have to lay them all off. So I think they're still a little hesitant. But I do see that, you know, out of the long-term workers that we do have entry level, every month you might see a couple hired or 3 or 4 hired. So it's your top performers, you know, that don't have any attendance issues, don't have issues with supervisors, don't have issues with other coworkers. They seem to be getting the positions, but it's not in a mass influx like, oh, we're going to hire all 20 of your temporaries today. It's going to be more like 1 or 2 at a time. Anything else? So how many in the room are unemployed? Is everyone unemployed, or are people employed? Unemployed, all? Okay. So if we have some time, do we have time? What time is it? Got a little time? So I just wanted to go around the room and just kind of see what people were looking for and what companies they're targeting, or... So why don't we start over here?
I'm Raymond. I just graduated from UB.
Okay.
And I'm from economics major.
Okay.
So I'm looking for like the banking jobs or insurance companies.
Okay. Good. And there's work there. So the only thing with insurance is a little bit difficult sometimes is the licensure, you know, where a lot of times they're looking for people who are licensed. But a lot of times the insurance agencies will put you to school to do that, to get your license. Try, if you look at insurance, try AAA. They're a client of ours, and they're pretty large. People don't realize how large they are in insurance. People don't think of them. You know, they think of the Allstate, State Farm, things like that. So, or even, there's another place. I'll think of it that I want to tell you about. I can't think of the name of the company. You are looking for?
I am Sam Miller. I'm looking to get into the area of sterile processing. That's something that happens right in hospitals for the most part, where we sterilize the medical equipment that's used primarily in the surgical suites and also the imaging suites. It's important because this day and age, there's a lot of government regulations on various aspects of healthcare, so we're in charge of making sure that the devices that are going to be used on you when you go for surgery, when you go for imaging, are clean and properly disinfected, and you aren't going to get sick from it. So I'm focusing on, we have 2 agencies here, Highland Hospital and
Yep.
RHS.
Yep.
I've spoken to both of them. I'm going to go back to one of them for a follow-up question. And so that's what I'm primarily looking to get into right now.
Good.
Miller, sterile processing.
Great. Carolyn?
I'm looking for administrative work.
Okay.
I'm also either looking for, actually a position in a nonprofit or a position where I can help people.
Okay.
Give back to the community.
Right. Right. Rochester Works is a good venue for that because a lot of the non-for-profits work with them. So keeping in touch with them is good because part of what Rochester Works does as well is they put people who are on DSS on work experience where they have to volunteer for the monies that they get. And most of the agencies that are allowed to do that are non-for-profit agencies. So there's a lot of connections that they have with people who are actually looking. So, yeah.
Colleen. I'm primarily a graphic designer, but I relocated from North Carolina after about 10 years experience. The closest example is Clipper Magazine. So
Mhm.
a lot of my background is actually sales, whereas it's the
Right, right.
explore that. Overqualified, they see me as competition. It's like, I just want to create a different niche and one
Mhm.
that's going to keep me here. I
Mhm.
have family back here. That's
Right.
why I moved from the lovely southern weather to Rochester snowflakes, but.
Or the -3 degrees.
Right.
Do you live right in Rochester?
Yeah, I'm off in
Okay.
I did learn a lot about the Rochester Works and some of the things that they have.
Mhm.
Networking after 10 years, it's just like coming back to a brand new place.
Mhm.
And I do it myself.
What about getting into, like, a lot of companies have like social media people within their organization that keep up to date on the websites and things like that?
Yeah, a lot. We do want the user interface,
Mhm.
the web development.
Yeah.
Then coming up with print.
Print. Mhm.
And whether it would be package design or label or this or the other, more or less the marketing communications. Actually went to an interview this week with a paper company, and when I walked on, that was for sales, and he had me the 25 marketing communication firms list. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, that's a tough. There's not a lot of graphic design type positions here. I know that was always, since I've been in staffing, people who either had an advertising background or graphic design always struggled to find work in our marketplace because,
But I have been advertising.
yeah,
And as far as that goes.
yeah. And your first name? Yeah, Celeste. I thought I would just I couldn't see very well.
I've been at the company I was at for 20 years, more than 20 years, so this is a new experience. I was laid off because the job changed. So, I don't know, I'm looking for marketing and sales positions.
Mhm.
I'm sort of at the stage in my life where I just want to have something steady.
Mm-hmm. And one of the growing fields too is even, sales, customer service. It could form where you're working for a company and start off in customer service and then go into type of a business development role. Because obviously having sales and marketing, you also have, you're good working with people. So you have those customer service could be those transferable skills. Like Verizon is looking to hire 300 people. That might be something that you could look into. And, that's another thing. You might be starting in one area until something opens up in that other area that you're actually good for, where it's going to be the right fit for you. So just a thought.
Came on, Kevin. My background has been newspapers, working with editors and reporters, so I'm looking at seeing if I can flip that in terms of maybe public relations,
Mm-hmm.
with colleges and
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's a tough one. Again, there's not a ton of work in the area. So it's like you're right, what skills can you pull out? And making sure, like we talked about before, that, your LinkedIn profile says that, so that's the first thing people see. You just got laid off.
We did. I spent 6 years with an engineering consulting firm. But actually right now I'm kind of looking for a customer service position to fill the gap, because what I learned is I don't want to be a consultant. And when you take that out of the mix, it is hard to find an engineering job in Rochester.
Right. Right, because like I said, when I showed those 10 jobs that are hard to fill, doesn't necessarily mean it's in the Rochester area. I pointed out a few that are, but, engineering, what kind of engineering?
Well, I have my background in civil, environmental, and construction,
Which are all very difficult.
which are all very difficult. The hardest part is a lot of companies like that need me to move, but they can't offer me a base salary that I can actually afford to move.
Right, right, right.
So I'm like, oh, you want me to move? Okay, that's way more expensive to live there than it is to live in Rochester.
Right.
So it's a trip.
But customer service is good if you like working with people.
Well, so I've been in retail now for almost 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of skills there. It's just I sometimes have to get people to look past the fact that I have a bachelor's degree.
Right. Right. Sometimes education works against you, don't you think? But yeah, but I'm saying though, like some people, like Verizon, for instance. I just heard today when I was watching the news, because I always know that this is going to be on Channel 10 in the morning. So I watched this morning, and that was one thing that was said, was that Verizon was looking to hire all these people. Xerox as well in their customer service area. So, and I know that Verizon looks for a degree. Oh yes. They look for somebody with associates or bachelors. They do like you to be degreed, and they do pay very well for customer service.
Hi, my name is Harvey Sigley. I just moved to Rochester this week.
With a name like that, you should be a movie star.
But yeah, I do have some family history here. Grew up in Maine, been living in New York City the last 2 years. I studied journalism, and now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do from here. Still deciding really, but hopefully something either in public service or maybe journalism. Hopefully the industry doesn't implode.
Right.
Maybe sales, project management, marketing. I'm not sure. Looking for ideas.
Well, this is a good place to be. There's so many employers here today that could give you ideas about how to utilize your skills.
That is all the Rochester Media Association. Have you heard of it?
I have.
Yeah, they got it on a Facebook page, but that would be a good group to get involved with.
Rochester Media Association.
See, again, that research, that networking, very good. Yes? Back there.
Hello, my name is Carol. I worked in Manhattan for many years in healthcare before 2000. I was admitting director, patient accounts director, pre-financial screening. So I had a lot of management experience. I moved into corporate, worked for Moody's Investor Service for 12 years, and when I moved here, I still commuted a couple of times. I was an assistant vice president, rolled in a new project. Worked with a couple of senior managers, had a staff of like 12 people. I took all that, totally turned around and went to a billing software, customer care solution, implementation project management role as an individual contributor, which was great, but of course they lost contracts and laid off. So now I'm back in the market, and I came here and I've been putting my feelers out for healthcare and also you. I wanted to tell you to go talk to Iberdrola if you have not. Hopefully that's not where you work. They're looking for engineers on the project side. I just spoke with them like a couple of hours ago maybe. Catherine McCarthy is at the table. I would definitely speak to her. What else?
So you did implementation on healthcare software?
No, I did implementation on billing and customer care software for telecom.
Oh, okay.
I was very involved in getting systems into healthcare.
Because there's a company here that's looking for implementation. Not here today, but there's a company in Rochester that is looking for implementation managers. Very good salary. It's called Metascad.
Mediscare.
Mhm.
I think I've seen them online. And the other thing is, I would like to leave you my resume.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Gentleman in the back.
My name is Lee. I'm from another company. I came here maybe 1 year ago, and I came here to find a job. I'm a radio engineer, but I'm a role as manager.
Mhm.
Sorry for my English.
No, you're fine. I can understand everything you're saying.
No, I come here.
And so it's starting all over, right? And you are looking for sales and marketing, right? Okay. And you just graduated?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did try talking to the right.
Mm-hmm.
I took my resume.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. No, it's a good organization. I used to know the recruiter that was there. She's no longer there, but I used to work with her somewhere else. And I did some work with them when I was at Rochester Works. And, yeah, they have a good program there.
My name's Mike, and I'm looking for temporary or permanent positions, hopefully in the nonprofit hospital sector. My background is materials management and account management,
Mm-hmm.
permanent or temporary.
Okay. I talked with you before, Mike, right? Yes.
Okay.
Last year.
Last year.
Yep. I remembered you. And Dora.
Yes, I'm a teacher by trade. I've worked in schools, and most recently, kind of doing project management with training and outreach. I'm looking at an area, but I'm also investigating kind of an activities director, enhanced life for me type thing of somehow helping as the population is aging
Yes.
of how to keep them engaged
Mm-hmm.
and live a full, healthy
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I like that. You've got a lot of directions that you could go.
This may be not what you're looking for, but have you ever talked to the Diocese of Rochester, the different church organizations? I'm familiar with the Catholic one, but a lot of times they're aging populations because not everybody's moving to Florida now as they get older and the healthcare so bad. But they have a lot of people now here that used to be very active in their communities that now aren't, that need assistance, and they're starting new programs all over the Northeast. I know somebody that just started a new program for the greater Boston area in outreach or items like that, so.
And there are, for you to, I've been in the nonprofit sector,
Right.
so that's where you are looking.
Right, like lifespan too, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Right.
I've talked to a couple of you today.
Uh-huh. Good. And?
It was John Chase. Primarily looking for a test technician, engineering development communities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also finishing up a bachelor's degree in website development,
Mhm.
implementation, and curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that being in school is something that will hold back in getting a job because companies don't want you coming out of class
Right, right,
2 or 3 times a week.
right,
And yet, you have to pay my bills,
Right.
pay my tuition,
right, right.
and pursue my education.
So maybe right now,
So it's doubly tough.
right. So I'm trying to think something part-time or
Minimum wage.
minimum,
because
yeah, you're right.
I just got down with a warehouse job over the
Mhm.
summer, and it's wrecking my joints. I can't go back.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll take your resume. I gotta think on that one because you're gonna need something part-time, but it's like who can work with that? But some companies can. Some companies are flexible. You just got to find the right one.
Like Xerox, I had a contract there, but there was a big reorganization, and 18-month job got chopped off in 5 months.
Yeah,
That was 2 years ago.
yeah. And you are Larry?
Larry Norris, I'm looking for custodial work, janitorial work. I also have experience in shipping and receiving.
Okay.
I have well over 20 years' experience in the janitorial business. Used to work for a department store over
Mhm.
in Westview. When they took over, my housekeeping position was eliminated, so I went to work for the first contractor they had. I worked for them for 4 years. They lost to another contractor. Signed on with them, worked for them for about a year. They lost to another contractor. So I've been laid off, and I've been out of work these past several years looking for work. And
Okay.
I'm sort of still getting reacquainted how to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was so different.
Absolutely,
The
absolutely.
last time I was unemployed for about 33 years.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest struggles is, with the social media and with the computer skills that you need, people who have had longevity in the workplace that are just recently laid off, it's a struggle. It very much is because there's not that face-to-face interaction any longer. It is a shock, a big shock. Exactly. So, I mean, the first thing for you is just making sure that you find somewhere that can help you with that, whether it's Rochester Works or if you take a class on
That's
that.
what I've been doing.
Yep, absolutely, because that's the way that you're going to get through those applications, especially if there's somebody to ask.
I also belong to several networking groups.
Good.
August Group.
Yep.
ABC, PNG, New Horizons. I belong to Job Club and also go to Job Strategist Group.
Yep.
Britain Street.
Yep.
And I've been taking various workshops both there and Waring Road.
Mhm.
So going to, certainly I took the computer boot camp about 3 to 4 times.
Right.
And I even took it through the libraries as well.
Yeah.
And also I've been getting some help from some of the younger kids from the Third Floor Library.
Oh,
for
good.
this, Tech tutor program.
Awesome. That'll make it that much easier when you want to research or fill out an application.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I've been going to job fairs and career fairs like this for the last several years. So
It's good. That's the nice thing about a job fair because that's still the one place that you could get out and meet people. Because otherwise you're never going to meet anyone behind that computer until they say, oh, yeah, I want to talk to you, right? So job fair is a great way to do that. Yes.
I I don't participate in a lot of them. I do have a LinkedIn profile.
Mhm.
Part of my degree is going to be developing apps,
Mhm.
but I don't live in it.
Mhm.
And I'm concerned that not being a social media race car driver is going to hold me back.
Well, I would say with LinkedIn, there's not a lot you have to do except for creating that profile and getting connections. It's not a place that you need to post like on Facebook. You know, people are posting all the time. Like I'm on Facebook, but I don't ever post. I'm just nosy and look at everything else. But on LinkedIn, you know, you create that profile. You don't really have to do much else other than reach out to people, or people will reach out to you. It just, you know, what happens is there's degrees of connections. So if you have a first connection, anyone that's connected to that person is going to be a second degree connection to you. And it may be that one person that's at the target job. So that person that you're connected with can introduce you.
The cascade may work.
Yeah. So that's the only thing about LinkedIn. But it's not one of those social media sites where you have to be posting all kinds of things on there or comment. You don't have to comment on anything.
Some of the current wisdom advises that I do that. Participate, but yes.
Yeah. You know, it's a lot different than it's a lot different than Facebook, wherein you don't have to do much but get yourself out there, and you're not going to be seen unless you have a lot of connections. I guess that's the thing of it. So the more people you can connect with, the more chances you are to be seen.
Of first level connections?
First level. The more first levels you have, then those second degrees see you, then they become first, you know, and
I had two, but they're connected to a lot of people.
right.
Does that show up?
Yes. But you want to connect to more than two. Keep connecting. Connect with anyone you've worked with in the past.
One of the best pieces of advice I got when I got laid off was to, on a weekly basis, update or change my LinkedIn profile. The more frequently you update or change,
The more people will see it.
it keeps your name at the top of the list. Versus if you create it and let it sit for 6 months, you don't automatically pop up even if
Right.
people happen to know you.
And another thing is that's the same way with Career Builder or any site that you're putting your resume, you're posting it on. If you want your resume not to go to the bottom of the resume list, you need to continue to change that at least monthly so that you can remain back on top. And another thing is, as a person who searches Career Builder, I'm looking at the last time you did anything with your resume to see whether I'm going to call you. So somebody who did something with their resume last month versus October, I'm going to call the last month person first. Because to me, the October person might not be looking anymore.
Anytime career builder you're finding that?
Do you have a handout or information this class that you can give us?
I don't, but if you give me your email address, I can email you the presentation. Would that be acceptable? Anybody who wants me to do that. If you want me to take your resume today, I can do that. I have my business cards available. You know, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm connected with about 700 people, so I'm sure that you will, you know, maybe know somebody from a company that you're looking to target. Feel free to email me if you want to ask me questions about anywhere you're interviewing. I'd be happy to do that as well. And I thank you all for attending today.